Hello everyone, I'm Risma Budiarti from Group 7 of the Statistics 2 course with the lecturer Mr. Sri Kasneli, SEMMCIQAR. Here I will explain about analyze parametric statistic. Parametric statistic. Parametric statistic is a science that can be applied to data that has a normal distribution. The point is that parametric statistic can be applied if it meets the normality assumption. If this is not the case, then the data must be worked out using non-parametric methods. If the data to be studied is considered not to be normally distributed, it is necessary to carry out normalization effort first so that you can use a parametric distribution. In general, parametric statistics is used to large amount of data, usually above 30. The data distribution is normal or can be considered normal. Data is of interval or ratio type. If one of the assumptions above is not met, such as if the data is quite large but not normally distributed, or the data type is nominal or ordinal, then non-parametric statistical method can be used. Parametric statistical test terms. Several conditions that can be taken into consideration when using parametric statistical tests are: the population from which the sample is taken must be normally distributed. Samples have the same variance. The data scale used must be in the form of an interval or ratio. The sampling process must be carried out randomly. Profit parametric statistic. The advantages are: observations are independent of each other and are drawn from a population that is normally distributed and has homogeneous variance. The parameter requirements of a sample population are usually not tested and are considered to meet the requirements. Measurement of the data are carried out strictly. Weakness parametric statistic. The downsides are: population must have the same variance. The variable studied must be measurable at least on an interval scale. In analysis of variance, the requirements is added that the average of the population must be normal and have the same variance, and must be a linear combination of the effect caused. Normality test. Normality test is a statistical test used to test whether the observed data has a normal distribution or not. To test the normality of the data, there are several tests that can be used, such as the chi-square test, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, Anderson-Darling test, and Saviro-Wheel test. Each of these tests has its own strengths and weakness, and the best choice depends on the type of data being observed. Chi-square test. The formula is as in my PowerPoint. Chi-square test condition. Data is arranged in groups or group in a frequency distribution table, suitable for data with large number n is greater than 30. Chi-square example. The height of student at a university in 2023 was taken and the following data was obtained. Investigate with A equals 5% whether the data above has a normal distribution. Mean equals 157.8 and standard deviation equals 8.09. More detailed solutions are in the link. Parametric statistical method. Some parametric statistical methods are as follows. Correlation. Correlation is used to measure the relationship between two variables. In this correlation analysis, there are several basic assumptions that must be met before the data is analyzed, namely, the two data to be correlated must come from the same sample. The data must be interval or ratio data and interpolated ordinal data. The data has a normal distribution. The relationship between the two data must be linear. There are three types of correlation analysis that can be used in social science research, including Pearson product moment correlation coefficient, phi coefficient, and point visual correlation. Parametric statistical methods. 2. T-test is the method used to determine whether a set of values that we analyze come from the same population or not. This analysis is commonly used to compare the means of the groups. There are two types of t-test, namely independent group t-test and repeated measures t-test. The basic assumption that must be understood in the t-test comparative analysis are as follows. The data must be interval or ratio data. Data comes from a random sample from a population. If you want to generalize the findings, the data has a normal distribution. Parametric statistical method. ANOVA. ANOVA is used to compare the means of three or more groups simultaneously. There are several types of ANOVA, including one-way ANOVA. This type of analysis is used when we want to compare the means of more than two different groups. Two-way ANOVA. This type of analysis is used when we have two independent variables to compare and each independent variable has two or more labels. One-way repeated measures ANOVA. This type of analysis is used to compare three sets of data or more, and all three data come from the same sample. Two-way repeated measures ANOVA. This type of analysis is used to compare the effect of two independent variables on the dependent variables, and each independent variable has several levels. The assumptions of this type of analysis are similar to the assumption of one-way repeated measure ANOVA. Parametric statistical methods. Regression. Regression is used to predict the influence of the independent variable on the dependent variable. The independent variable used to predict can consist of one or more independent variables. If there is only one independent variable, this analysis is called linear regression, and if there is more than one variable, it is called multiple regression. Linear regression. Linear regression cannot be separated from correlation analysis. The coefficient obtained based on correlation analysis is the basis for finding the size of the regression value, namely the size of R-squared. By using correlation analysis and linear regression, prediction can be made of the influence of one variable and other variables. Multiple regression. Multiple regression can be used to predict the extent to which the independent variables together influence the dependent variable. This analysis is often called simultaneous standard regression. Thank you for watching.